Hey guys, welcome back to the CulePodcast. Welcome back to another video. On today's video, we're going to be talking about some words from Joan Laporta because Joan Laporta, he did have an interview recently with Mundo Deportivo and he said some very, very big quotes and some very interesting quotes. And I want to be talking about that on today's video. And then as well, we're going to be looking at the situation on Ansu Fati. And then as well, we're going to be talking about some words in regards to La Vodka. But guys, before we get started in the video, make sure to follow me on all my social media platforms. Go over there and check me out. That way you guys can stay up to date with everything that I do on the channel. But guys, let's get straight into it and let's talk about Joan Laporta's words. And specifically in that interview where in Mundo Deportivo, where he covers a wide range of topics, which he talks about Araujo, he talks about Real Madrid, he talks about Mbappe, and then as well as he talks about Barcelona's potential next manager. But now let's talk about Araujo, and these are Joan Laporta's words in regards to Ronald Araujo. I'm so confident to keep Ronald Araujo at the club. Bayern bid. Many people think that Barcelona are in a difficult financial situation, but it's getting better. Okay, so Joan Laporta is confident about keeping Ronald Araujo, but that's not it. Araujo is very integrated. The thing is that sometimes communication doesn't get where it needs to go. I mean the negotiations, and there I think that this is already solved in some way because there was some distortion when it came to communicating everything we had in mind for Ronald. The other day we premiered the Origins, Ronald Araujo's program for Barca One. If you guys don't know what Barca One is, it's Barcelona's new sort of like Twitch streaming platforms, sort of such Netflix, in which all Barca content is going to be there, like documentaries, in interviews, etc., movies like in regards to Barcelona and everything like that. And it certainly won't be one of those cases. Bayern is as it is. Here we always say that Barca is bad and Barca is good. But it seems that no matter how much repetition it ends up being, what it is not. Barca is good, much better than it was. He continues, we are in a process of economic recovery, that if some operations that we are developing end up bearing fruit, and I think that we will soon have good news in that sense, because we will once again be a healthy club and a club that has a present and its economic future is viable. Now, guys, this is something that I have praised Joan Laporta and, the board of directors for the great work that they're doing in trying to rebuild Barcelona, especially from behind the scenes. Now, guys, Bartomeu left this club in an absolute shambles. And, we had that 1 billion euro debt, and we had so many problems on the field and off the field as well. And when Joan Laporta, he was re-elected to become that Barcelona president, his goal was basically to stabilize Barcelona, guys. And of course, not his everything in his tenure so far hasn't been perfect. For example, the Messi debacle, and everything like that, how he handled everything. But overall, how you're looking at how he's been handling the situation, I would say it's been very, very positive. And continuing on Ronald Araujo, Laporta is very optimistic, and he says yes, yes, when if he's optimistic about Ronald Araujo's continuity. And so I gave a lot of information, guys, to you right now, but the overall message is that Laporta is confident about keeping Ronald Araujo, and his message later on continues and saying, "Hey, the club is on a path to become financially stable and become a healthy club once again," and that is very, very good to see. But now, guys, I want to be talking about Joan Laporta's words in regards to Real Madrid, specifically about Mbappe, because he says this about Real Madrid potentially signing Kylian Mbappe. I don't envy Real Madrid for Mbappe as a new signing. This distorts the dressing room for sure. You have to sell a player, don't you? Because they're not going to play in the same place. Okay, so guys, right here, Joan Laporta, he's basically throwing some shade saying, hey, I don't envy Real Madrid for going out and signing Kylian Mbappe, which is most likely going to happen, guys, in the summer. Kylian Mbappe is most likely to head to the Spanish capital. And right there, we have talked about it before. Like, hey, there potentially be, some problems that Kylian Mbappe can bring to the dressing room, specifically knowing that in his favorite position, that left wing, is currently being occupied by, one of Real Madrid's best players in Vinicius Jr. And, Kylian Mbappe has repeatedly said in the past that he does not play as a number 9. He has been playing, that number 9 this season, but once again, that's not Kylian Mbappe's best position. And if Kylian Mbappe, you sign, this huge player, supposedly the world's best player, then you want to play him in the best position, and that'll be on the left wing. And so Joan Laporta is basically saying, could that potentially cause, some tension in the dressing room between Vinny Jr. and Real Madrid? And something that you even have to mention is throwing the whole Bellingham, throwing Rodrigo, even throwing the Brahim Diaz. The whole situation in Real Madrid is definitely going to be interesting to keep an eye out for. But continuing on about Real Madrid, he says this: I read about the figures that will be there for Kylian Mbappe and Real Madrid. This distorts the locker room for sure. It won't be cheap, so it will be a problem. Now, Joan Laporta, he said that Real Madrid are going to have to sell a player. Who that is, I don't know. There has been some rumors that, potentially Valverde could be sold. However, I don't see that as very likely. And Real Madrid are also going to be looking to signing, Alexander Trent. As well as Alfonso Davies. And so those are two, huge fullbacks and two huge additions to the squad, as well as Kylian Mbappe. Where are Real Madrid getting all this money? And it's going to be a very interesting this summer to keep an eye out. But guys, definitely let me know your guys' thoughts on the whole situation on, on John Laporta's words. Me personally, my opinion on whether he should have said that or not is that I personally, if a reporter asked me what are my thoughts on Real Madrid and signing Kylian Mbappe, I would have just personally just said, hey, Barcelona is Barcelona. We have a solid team. It's not my problem, and just move on. And more of sort of the stance that Gavi took. He basically said, like, hey, I don't care who Real Madrid sign. They can sign whoever they want. We are Barcelona. We have good players as well. And just basically like divert the question because, Joan Laporta saying that, hey, it could distort the dressing room. I don't envy Real Madrid. It could potentially come to bite him in the butt. If if Kylian Mbappe does really well and he basically scores against Barcelona, it gives ammo to Real Madrid, which you don't really want to do. But now, guys, we're going to be looking at Joan Laporta's words in regards to Xavi and the next potential manager. As I said, guys, this is going to be a long interview that Joan Laporta had with Mundo Deportivo. He said a lot, and I want to go over it because there's been some really interesting quotes. And this is what he said on Xavi. I'd really, really, really like Xavi to change his mind and stay as Barca manager. I won't put pressure on Xavi. It depends on him. He's aware of my desire for him to stay here. We will see at the end of the season. Now, it's obviously in Joan Laporta's favor in keeping Xavi because this is someone who we've already seen in his work. It's been satisfactory at the start of the season. It hasn't been great. We've reached sort of the goals of the season in qualifying for the Champions League. We haven't done great in La Liga. We've been knocked out of the Supercopa España as well as Copa Rey. So it's been mixed feelings. But overall, Xavi, he's been the umbrella protecting the board, from maybe bad decisions. Because what happens if the next manager that we bring in, for example, Hansi Flick, does poorly? Then, for example, people are not going to are going to start pointing the finger, saying, "Hey, maybe the problem is actually upstairs, in the board of directors, and not the manager." And then, of course, guys, you have to understand the next manager that we bring, they have to be aware that Barcelona, they're not going to have this huge financial capability to go out and sign whoever they want. And Xavi, he is a player who's worked with youngsters, developed them, and who's been giving them a lot of minutes, and he already knows what situation Barcelona is in, and he's working with what he has. And so this is why Laporta wants to keep him there. So basically, you say, hey, he's doing a good enough job. He's my umbrella. He's my protection. Let's try to keep him as much as possible. And whether Xavi is staying, we're gonna have to see that at the end of the season. Xavi has said before that no matter like what the outcome at the end of the season is, he is going to be leaving. And so it's going to be hard to pressure Xavi on staying. Xavi insists on saying that he won't change his mind and he's going to leave in June, but we will see. I still hope to keep Xavi next season, but it's only up to him. Now, in regards to Xavi staying, like if he does stay, guys, the same thing is gonna happen next season. Like if as soon as the team starts having some bad results, people are gonna start booing him. People are gonna start saying, "Hey, this manager isn't for Barca. That he lacks the experience, yada yada." And if Xavi does stay, it's gonna be a repeat of this season. Whether we get better results, that is up to debate. But now, he talks about like potentially into new coaches and specifically about Luis Enrique. Um, and this is what he says about Luis Enrique. I like Luis Enrique. He's very good, but we didn't speak to him or any other coach as we respect Xavi. Whoever wants to come to Barca has to wait until the end of the season, as we will wait for Xavi's final decision. So this is why Barcelona, they're holding out. They want to see their options, of course, just to see, hey, which managers are available, and then as well, they're also holding out to see if Xavi potentially reverts his decision. Because if for example, if you go out and sign Hansi Flick, you say, hey, here's a contract signed, you're going to become the next Barcelona manager. And then Xavi, for example, does a deep run into the Champions League, reaches the final, and he maybe changes his decision, then like he won't be able to do that because you've already signed with Hansi Flick. And specifically about Luis Enrique, I like Luis Enrique. I think he's done, a Barcelona managerial legend, and I do think that he would work at Barcelona. Just however, he is at PSG. He is under contract there, and he said before, like, "Hey, I respect my contracts, and I'm not going to break that." But continuing on, he now talks about, for example, Hansi Flick, and this is what he has to say about the German. Pini Sahavi offering Hansi Flick. I'm good friends with Pini, with Jorge Mendes, but I told them don't insist, as we will be with Xavi until the end of the season. We will wait for Xavi's decision, and then we will see. We will have solutions. Okay, so Barcelona stands on the next manager is this. We will not make any decisions until the end of the season, until we actually know Xavi's final decision. And whether that is a smart decision, I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to come back to that because for example, if Hansi Flick gets picked up by another club, if Nagelsmann does really well at the Euros and he renews his contract, if Thomas Tuchel, for example, turns the situation around Bayern Munich, then Barcelona, they could be left with limited options out there in the market, and so it could be a double-edged sword. But now he talks about Pau Cubarsí, and he says this about the Barcelona youngster. And he says, I love to see Pau Cubarsí, his personality. He's incredible. Xavi told me I was nervous when I had to debut for Barca. Look at this guy. It looks like he's just happy and relaxed. It's fantastic to have talent like him. And guys, I completely agree, man. I think Pau Cubarsí, you just love to see him out on the on the pitch. And me personally, he's going to become he's growing on me, and he's definitely one of those few Barcelona players in which I say, hey, this could become a fan favorite. And it seems Joan Laporta shares the same sentiment. But guys, definitely let me know on that huge interview from Joan Laporta in which he talks about a wide range of topics. He talks about Real Madrid, he talks about Ronald Araujo, he talks about Pau Cubarsí, and he talks about Xavi as well as the next Barcelona manager. And then as lastly on Mbappe, there was a big interview from Joan Laporta and which he gave to Mundo Deportivo. But now, guys, I'm going to be talking about Ansu Fati because I want to be giving you guys an update on his situation. And he says this, and this is the update from Sport. Roberto De Zerbi wants Brighton to loan Ansu Fati again for the next season. Inside, they believe Fati is a sleeping giant, and the coach is determined to wake him up. De Zerbi has complete confidence in Ansu as he was following the roadmap of adaptation, which was cut short due to injury. The mission with the attackers seemed incomplete. And so Roberto De Zerbi is confident that Ansu Fati could regain his best level at Brighton, and he's going to be asking for Barcelona, to loan him to the English club once again. Now, guys, it's as I said before in the previous episode, no, in the previous video, it's going to be interesting, summer to see what happens between Lamine Yamal and Ansu Fati for that number 10 jersey. Because if you guys don't remember, Ansu Fati was the last player to don that number 10 jersey, and it's gonna be a huge talking point in the summer on whether we keep Ansu Fati, whether we loan him. But these next couple of months in which Ansu Fati is gonna have an opportunity, to play for Brighton, it's going to be interesting to see how his development unfolds for the English club. But now, lastly, guys, I'm going to be talking about Lobotka, because his agent, he basically came out to the media, to Tuton Napoli, and he said this in regards to Deco and Xavi. We talked about it with Deco. Barcelona want to sign him, but many things must having. Stanislav sent me a screenshot of what Xavi said about him. I sent him one showing the many times we talked about him, because Xavi asked me many times about Lobotka. Now, it's very interesting to see that Barcelona, Xavi, Deco, they've had some contacts with Lobotka and his entourage, and could be a potential reinforcement in that midfield that Barcelona could be keeping an eye on. I have mentioned in the past, so for example, Amadou Onana, Matt Weifer, as well as Alex Garcia, Joshua Kimmich. These were all options for Barcelona. However, Lobotka, a player who I think is underrated and who's been doing a very, very good job at Napoli, he could be a potential option for Barcelona. Just the thing is, he does have a contract until 2027, I believe, and so it's going to be very, very hard for Napoli to let him go. And they could be asking a fee for from 50 to 60, 70 million euros. But guys, that was it for the video for today. It was a lot of information that I threw out to you guys, but definitely let me know your guys' thoughts on everything that we have discussed on today's video. Everything from Joan Laporta's interview to Ansu Fati's situation. What do you think is going to happen to him? And then as well, with Barcelona making contact with Lobotka's entourage. But guys, thank you guys all for watching. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll catch you guys all in the next video. Peace.